All right, so let's get started. Okay, so just to start off, we'll go through some of the highlights of the 6700 series. The Atom 6700 series are an intelligent I/O integrated gateway device with a unique all-in-one design. They not only simplify your system architecture, but also reduce the cost of system and endpoint device integration. The 6700 series helps you painlessly upgrade existing equipment to a smart system with all the benefits of real-time analysis of data at the network edge, as well as they can also perform data collection, storage, processing, calculation, and analysis locally, as well as in the cloud. Its 24/7 online equipment monitoring provides measurable advantages in predictive maintenance and to minimize downtime. The 6700 series basically encourages you to develop innovative applications by utilizing your valuable data to accelerate and implement an integrated smart manufacturing infrastructure that can also be tracked. I guess what that means is these modules are designed to try and integrate all of that, and we'll go into a little bit more detail in the next couple of slides, but they're designed in a way to be a one-stop solution, and you'll see what I mean. So the evolution of IT and OT basically breaks down into these three layers. So you've got your edge device layer, where you've got all your actual equipment like conveyor belts, milling machines, accounting machines, or temperature management, or I don't know, air conditioning, that type of thing, which has basically got your inputs and your outputs on it that then get controlled by programmable logic controllers, or PLCs, which are still very, I guess, endpoint type devices. So they all get controlled by these SCADA systems that then can integrate into manufacturing execution systems like your parts and build schematics for your equipment or products or whatever else that your business does, and then further on into the enterprise resource platform and logistics type systems, before heading off into, say, somewhere like the cloud, where you've got things like Google, Microsoft Azure, and those types of online services that allow you to get to this data from anywhere in the world. So yeah, that's basically what it does. So the 6700 series is what we call an intelligent all-in-one I/O gateway. The reason why we call it intelligent is because the devices actually have an onboard CPU. It's a ARM Cortex RISC-based CPU, which is running on the Linux based open platform. And because it is Linux, it opens you up to the most popular programming languages that are renowned around the planet. So things like Linux C or JavaScript, which is actually ranked #1 IT programming language. The 6700 series also has a low coding requirement, graphical programming language called Node-RED, and we'll get into a little bit more on what you can do with that in some of the later slides. In addition to that, it has I/O connectivity built into the device, so you can collect data from your assets like those milling machines, or even down to the sensor level if required, and then off to your operation technology systems or whatever you need, all on one device. So there's also built-in storage on the device and the ability to get to wireless connectivity. In addition to that, data collection, analysis and logic control is provided because it is also a gateway device. So data transmission, cloud access, database access, and the ability to view structured data via a built-in dashboard, all on the device. So the benefits that you can see from this module is the I/O plus the gateway, coding dashboard, all in the one little device. There's no need for these extra systems. So if you need a device to integrate all this kind of application and ability in a small form factor, these modules are ideal. They can do it all without the requirement for an extra computer sitting on the network to do the processing for you or anything like that. So when looking at where the product is aimed for, it is a lot broader than what we've got just in this slide, but the main benefits for this type of device were found, like when it was brainstormed, were field application product machine statuses for the OEE type overall equipment efficiencies, tracking, manufacturing execution systems, industries like the electronic semiconductor industry, food and beverage, or even automobile, because they're so small and they run on like a low voltage. They can be implemented into the mobile structures very easily. Infrastructure, well, anything from power generation, circuit breaker monitoring, waste equipment, high voltage AC monitoring, solar power, environmental monitoring, air pollution monitoring, facility monitoring. They're all within the realms of possibility with this module. The open platform for programming, as stated earlier, it's RISC-based, an ARM Cortex A8 32-bit at 1 gigahertz, so quite a bit of grunt there. I mean, you can basically look at this device as being a bit like a Raspberry Pi with I/O and other types of monitoring on there, or even your cell phone. It is the equivalent. So, it has 512 megabytes worth of RAM on board. It's running the real-time Linux kernel. At the moment, it's version 3.12. It has, in addition, storage of 512 megabytes of flash on board, plus a micro SD support card. So if you do require further storage than 512 megabytes, that is a possibility. You just pop in the little card. Linux C obviously is supported because it's running Linux. There's Node-RED and JavaScript also built into the device. The two LAN and isolated RS-485 and USB connectivity. So you can connect to your legacy RS-485 devices if need be. That's absolutely possible. And then shoot it off via networking if required. And the operating temperature is from -40 to 70 degrees. So pretty extensive there. Okay, just a little bit about Node-RED. On the previous Atom 6000 series, we had a facility known as GCL, or graphic compute logic, or graphic control logic, if you like. Its primary functions were to do simple logic decision making for you, so you could have an AND gate or pump it through an OR gate, or just to get a result. So if you had, I don't know, if the temperature was within a particular range on an analog input and you needed it to then trigger a high response, you could do that through this GCL. Node-RED takes it a step further. It allows you to drag in all these nodes and then create a program infrastructure inside it, and then manipulate that data and even display it to a dashboard if you want it. Like there are all these different nodes that you can just drag into this graphical API, if you like, and then link them together to then create graphs, or throw data out to SQL databases, or even update to the cloud directly. As you can see in the slide here, there's like a little chart off to the right there where you've got these like dashboard measurement facilities, so these little graphic representations and even tracking graphs. And that's what I meant when we first started by you now have the ability to track data, so you can actually have trend report information on how your system's been tracking over a period of time, not just at the very start of whatever you're doing in real time. It can actually track it over a period of time and then have that data available to you. So it becomes a lot more flexible. GCL also had some drawbacks where if you needed to do an if output statement, that if a particular input was high, it didn't actually do anything. If that was high, it was fine. There were some limitations to what GCL2 could do, but not in Node-RED. That being said, it is low coding, but it is coding. So if you want to get the most out of your device, you absolutely do need to know a little bit about programming. But for people that even can't code, you can still understand enough to get to utilize the device and get things working logically. But if you want to go to full scale ahead and design on the module itself, you can also do that. So okay, so multiple I/O on the device itself, which is like the Atoms series previously. So you have your standard analog and your digital I/Os, your ability to connect things like temperature sensors, thermocouples, RTDs. It has the RS485 built in, Ethernet with Modbus protocols, it's all there. It can seamlessly connect with the Atom 4000 series, which are a serial-based only module, and the 6000 series, all over networking, and it does have the ability to also go wireless or Wi-Fi or even 4G. So it extends that connectivity. Being a gateway interface combination, obviously it needs the two Ethernet ports there. Just to go on some of the other extended features, it has a USB Type A connector at the front, which can extend its function even further. As stated earlier, the micro SD card slot to incorporate further storage if necessary, so the device can be left in the field for months at a time. It obtains set digital analog signals from sensors or switches. It's included. The RS485 port for your legacy devices or any legacy buses, serial buses that you might have there. Dual Ethernet links, so you can have one going to a network and one going to an intranet type scenario if you need to, and separate the two. Micro USB port on the end. It's a console port, so it can be used to power the entire device. It's a standard micro USB cable. It has a little screw hole there so that you can put in a micro USB cable and actually screw it into the device. So if you are in a vibrational type scenario and you must use USB, you can actually do it. The only caveat for using the USB with this device is that if you are going to run anything on the USB port at the top, any additional type devices or anything like that, you really need to be powering it from its power connector, the Green Phoenix connector that comes with it, just because the amount of the USB spec does not allow for a very large current to be pulled through it. So obviously if you're going to start attaching powered devices to it, it's more advisable to have the module's inbuilt power supply to supply that power. Okay, we'll move on. Coming up, we also have the Atom 600W extension device, which will connect via the USB cable into the module itself. And this thing will allow you to install the modules that give it Wi-Fi connectivity, the GSM ability, and all that other type of stuff. But at the moment, it's currently going through certification. So Wi-Fi should be okay for Australia and New Zealand, but there's not actual support for the 4G at this point in time, but it will be coming up shortly. Okay, so some of the services that can be supported by the device are the cloud services. The common ones are Azure, AWS, IBM Cloud, Google, that type of thing. There is the ability for SQL database connection. The protocols, Modbus, MQTT, RESTful API are all included. The connectivity, Ethernet, 4G coming up. Wi-Fi should be fine for now via the extension module. And if there is something that is absolutely required, then by all means you can just talk to us and we'll have a look at that by your project request. So being a gateway, data collection and processing on the Modbus and MQTT are supported. It just enables it to integrate easily with existing infrastructure. So if you've already got a Modbus type system set up, the Atom 6700 can act as the master and integrate all the remote and I/O data from the field if required. And of course, there's the MQTT facility as well. So the Atom 6700 can actually act as the subscriber as well as a publisher in this scenario. The Atom 6 series previously weren't able to do that. They were a publisher-only device. So this added functionality just gives further flexibility to gathering and providing data. So it's a gateway device, total solution. As you can see, it has the ability to save on programming effort by using the Node-RED integration and also the ease of using something like JavaScript. And there are actual shared examples for this particular device on our support channel. So you can actually go to our support channel and have a look at some tutorial and example based code. There are some links that we can provide to you if you are interested in further looking at this product, as well as some videos that you can watch there. The edge to cloud enables the whole information technology and operation technology convergence. So basically gathering all the way down from sensor information at the bottom, bringing it up to the device, having the ability to process that information and change it into graphs or using various widgets like the gauges and trend information that you saw earlier on the slides in Node-RED, and even sending it out to data storage databases, SQL or Azure Cloud or whatever else required. Or if you don't want to do any of that, it can also store it locally on the device itself because it is a smart device. It's got its own CPU. It has that ability. All this is all contained within this one device. It's like a Raspberry Pi on steroids, pretty much. You've got all this I/O and plus the development package built into it. So looking at the Atom 6700 series roadmap here, all the models come with these standard features, but what does change is some of the I/O that's available on the unit. So if we just look at what's available currently, we've got the 6717 and the 6750. The 6717 is the analog module, so it has the 8 analog inputs and 5 digital inputs plus 4 digital outputs, running on the ARM Cortex A8 CPU, Linux OS, built-in Node-RED. Dashboard communication is via 2 Ethernet ports, RS-485, USB. The 6750 is more geared towards the digital I/O, so 12 digital outputs, 12 digital in. As of June, we're also bringing in an 8 relay channel and 8 digital input, which is the 6760D. Coming June, we'll allow access to the 600W expansion module, which will give you the wireless facility. 3 and 4G is coming via MiniPCle. Again, just reiterating, currently not available in Australia. The Wi-Fi should be fine, but 3G and 4G are still under. Yeah, they should be coming soon. Yeah, and of course, towards the end there, we have another 6715 coming out with RTD, a 6-channel RTD, 4 digital outputs, 4 digital inputs, thermocouples on the 6718. 6724 is 3 analog out as well as 3 analog in, 6 digital out and 5 digital in. But all the models have the same thing, so that they all have the same 1 gigahertz A8 CPU, the Linux, the Node-RED, everything else that we've just discussed. It's all in there. If you've got some other type of requirement as well, like EdgeLink, by all means, just get in contact with us and we'll discuss it as your project requires. So just a couple of scenarios really quickly to finish it up. Here's one in a manufacturing plant where the user wants to transmit data to an SQL database, monitor the power, current and voltage of the test equipment, monitor the status of on-off on the wheel pairs. The 6700 easily collects the Modbus field data using built-in sample node in Node-RED. So you just drag that module in and create your Node-RED project. It does save on the programming effort of the database connection because it's there in Node-RED. However, if you really wanted to create the entire project on the module, that facility is definitely available. You have the ability to go all the way into Linux C if you want to. And being an all-in-one I/O gateway, you don't need any other existing equipment if you don't want to. It's all there. It can even be mounted in the mobile train if wanted. You can do that. Here's a machine floor operation type example. So basically it acquires the facility status, so temperature, current, on-off, actively notify of any alarms and take action locally if required, update analytics and alarm event to the cloud. And I guess the benefits, here we are again with quickly bringing facility status data to the cloud. It can do that. It has that all built in. The use of the Node-RED dashboard in Node-RED with no extra software needed. So locally, somebody can actually log on to the device, see the dashboard and go, okay, this is what's going wrong. It's an all-in-one gateway, so this data can be sent to the cloud as well as displaying locally. There's no extra remote I/O needed. The sensor collection is actually available on the module itself through the I/O. Just one more. Here's data center monitoring. We all know data centers are critical for their environment, correct operating environment. They're temperature sensitive, they're humidity sensitive. So you can monitor all of this through the Atom module itself, transmit the monitoring of the data to the database, send notification mail and trigger a buzzer when data is abnormal. It's all easily implementable, event-driven by applications in the Node-RED software. That's all possible. There's no complicated programming needed. You do need some idea of programming, but it's not massive requirements. You won't need a team or anything like that. So therefore, it just saves on the entire effort of having an R&D team that is programming or system integrator. It has to put in that extra effort to write the software or the code for the connection. Node-RED actually has the nodes that you can drag in to provide that. Again, it's an all-in-one I/O gateway with no extra remote or I/O needed. Okay, there is one more, just the solid station monitoring. So requirement was to deliver field data at the bottom layer to the cloud, collect inverter and power meter data, transmit that data to the cloud. The device obviously can connect to that. It has the dual Ethernet capability on the module itself, and like I said, with the additional 600W module, it'll be able to connect either via Wi-Fi and upcoming for Australia and New Zealand with the 4G. So it can transmit all that data to the cloud. It will be easily accessible on the cloud, also locally. So the benefits are basically there straight away. You can see that you don't need any further infrastructure. It can easily connect into it or provide it. You can even create that gateway for you if you don't have it already existing. And use the built-in dashboard in Node-RED with no extra software required. So all-in-one I/O gateway will save basically on your project cost. Okay, so just to round up everything, you've got this smart module with its powerful RISC-based ARM CPU-based platform with the 2 LAN, the 2 RS-485 micro SD storage facility on there running Linux. It has the ability for the Linux C programming languages, JavaScript support, and built-in Node-RED. Onboard remote and remote I/O collection ability, and all on the one device with wireless connectivity via the Atom 600W expansion module. It is a gateway, so it can do the data collection, analysis and logic control, data transmission, cloud and database access, built-in visualization, dashboard included via the Node-RED. So all of this in the one device with low coding efforts is pretty much a game changer. Thank you very, very much for your time. And